Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets. It's your boy, Road Dogg, here with the man himself, the legend on top of the hill, riding in on his white horse. Is it white horse? Is that what we're doing now? I don't know. He's got some sort of armor on, I'm sure. The king himself, Karl Bryan.
Shoot, how'd you know I was wearing armor this morning? We're doing this video now?
It was the sun reflecting off it when I was driving to the office, and you're just outside. Here's the trick, though. When you put on the armor, you got to put on the pants too, bud.
They're white. They're white undies. Very sexy.
Okay, well, tighty whities, bud. We all got our thing, so there you go. Hey, listen, I'm going to dive right in because we got a bunch of questions here. We've got the first one sort of, I kind of think a little off topic in terms of the coaching thing, but I know that you're getting inundated with this stuff. So I just want to address it right out of the gate because a lot of people are very interested in blockchain right now, and we've been getting like a ton of questions on it, which all of a sudden, Karl Bryan, blockchain expert. There you go, right? Dr. Karl Bryan, how do you make money investing in blockchain?
With that intro, how do you make, ask me the question again. I got lost about the blockchain thing.
You got confused, hey, by calling you just a doctor? Like, that's what I call it.
Yeah, exactly. I heard Dr. Bryan. I'm like, that's got a ring to it. I think we should go with that.
It really does. All right. Attorney at law, Mr. Karl Bryan, how do you make money investing in blockchain?
How do you, okay. Yeah, like you just said a minute ago, getting lots of this stuff. I am not pretending to be the expert on blockchain. There's people that are significantly smarter than I. But that being said, for our business coaches, I like the idea. I think we're thinking forward here a little bit. How do you make, you don't make money investing in blockchain, right? Blockchain is think of it as it's an open source ledger. Anyone, you, me, Road Dogg, we could all go build something on it like right now, right? Like it's just right there. It's open source. I explained this, I think last week or the week before. Think of it as like a Google Doc. And then who has access to a Google Doc? And that's everybody you give access to it. So just imagine that it was open source, like everybody had access to that Google Doc. That's not exactly, but that's like a nice little metaphor, right? So how do you make money? You don't make money invest. It's not like Bitcoin. You don't invest in it, right? So the way that you would profit off blockchain is to invest in companies that are using it and doing it well, right? And by the way, it's a great idea. I mentioned a bunch of companies that are using it, so I'm not going to rehash that. Go listen to last week if this is something you're interested in. But anyone that's listening and they say like, I don't get blockchain, quote unquote, do some homework and understand this thing, because I got to tell you, it's going to change the face of business in a very real and very tangible way. So, you don't want to be left behind. You don't want your clients to be left behind. And, really think about it this, you make money investing in things you understand, right? So do you understand blockchain? The answer is probably no. Certainly person asking this question, the answer is no. Do some homework, because that's how you won't necessarily make money because you can't invest in blockchain, but indirectly the money will flow. So yeah, Road Dogg, let's keep moving, man. But blockchain, it's good to think people are thinking along those lines. But it isn't something, it's not Bitcoin. Bitcoin, you invest in directly. Blockchain, that's not the way it works. It's like an open source Google Doc. There you go, bud. That's my answer, man. Find some companies that are crushing it with blockchain, and that's how you would make some dough with it. And by the way, help your clients, and then take on. Realistically, are you going to be taking on clients that are using blockchain? No, but leading them to, over the course of time towards that, something to think about. But I'd educate myself on the topic most definitely if I was serious about being a crushing business coach. So there you go, bud.
Well, I know that you aren't a CPA, but you do play one on TV. So I'm just wondering, here's the next question. What's the difference between statutory tax rate and effective tax rate?
Oh, cool. Okay. Statutory versus effective. So, okay, 90% of the folks listening, this isn't going to sound very exciting, but I got to tell you, look, you give me a room of 100 people and I say, what's the number one expense? 80%, if not 95% of the hands will go up for something other than what it is. Example, the housing and mortgage. The answer is taxes. If Road Dog's the biggest expense in Road Dog's life, my life, your life, everybody you know's life is taxes. It's not by a little, it's not by a lot, it's by a country freaking mile. Now the question is, your clients, how much time have you spent studying tax and minimizing tax position over the last week, month, quarter, year, 3 years? And the answer, if you're the 95% of the population, the answer is a big fat zero. We're reading sales and marketing books, which, by the way, is not such a bad idea. It's a heck of a lot better than reading no books, but you might want to put a book in the topic of taxes. So statutory tax rate, it's just, by law, it's the taxable income that falls within like a given tax bracket. Okay. Like if you make $100,000, you normally, you jump tax brackets, but the effective tax rate is the percentage of income actually paid by an individual or a company by taking into account tax breaks, like think deductions, right? So think loopholes, deductions, tax exemptions, what you might know them by, right? So obviously that number is going to be considerably lower than your statutory tax rate, right? So the X factor here is that the government doesn't necessarily raise your taxes by increasing the percentage, so the average person doesn't think that it's going up. The way that they do it is by eliminating or limiting the deductions that you can take, right? So that's how they make the effective tax rate go up. So FYI, someone needs to pay. We've just been locked in our houses for the better part of 12 months. 50% of the economy, which is the small businesses, are getting borderline crushed. The restaurants, the bars, and all the others. Anybody with a retail space, anybody with brick and mortar, is challenged big time. Well, look, Amazon paid about zero tax last year, right? I'll let you guess how much Apple, Facebook, Netflix, etc. Like these big, massive. When you look at the top 500 companies in the world, like the index, there's 7 of them that represent 40% of the value, right? I'll let you guess how much tax that they are paying, and Amazon is the poster child for the whole thing, right? Again, they don't make a profit. They basically don't pay tax, right? Jeff Bezos, whether you like that, you hate that, this is just what's happening, right? So question, who do you think is going to get the bill, right? And let me just tell you who it is. Hint, the uneducated. So the guy that says, or the gal that says, I'm not good at numbers, if that's you, you're the one that's about to pay it, right? Call it the dumb tax, call it whatever you want. So this is not, so it's, that's the answer, is that effective is basically the rate that you pay after deductions. So when you hear about, them lessening the amount that you can spend on entertainment and that kind of thing, this is the way that they raise your taxes, frankly, dramatically, without raising the percentage. And when they raise the percentage, they get uproar. And when they take away a deduction, nobody notices. Again, call it the dumb tax. So that's good. That's the difference. I think that's a great question, by the way. I think as a business coach, you should understand what I just described. So that's the answer, bud. That's the answer, man.
So as they say in poker, right? If you can't spot the sucker at the table, you are the sucker at the table. Isn't that
And I've been that guy, by the way. There you go.
Oh, wait, you know what? There's nothing more that makes me happier than when I see you at a poker table, because I know it's not. Listen, in Karl Bryan language, here's a red hot tip for you on steroids. If you're playing poker with Karl, I can almost with all certainty guarantee you going all in on the first hand. Like, this is just
don't give away. What if I used to play somebody here? That's 100% guarantee. I am all in first hand. Everybody's there. That's in a room where people don't know one another. With a zillion percent certainty, I am all in on hand number one, and it works with reasonable predictability. But I have got crushed. In fact, last time I played, actually Darcy, I played poker with Darcy not long ago. I owe him a few bucks, by the way. But anyways, there you go. That's there. If you're here, I tell you, that's not a bad strategy, guys. You might take it in the mouth once in a while, but you'll also I think you'll end up. I'm ahead on that strategy. I'm ahead. But the problem is after that, I can't not see the cards. Like I got to see the flop. I don't care if I got 7-2, what I got. I got to see the flop. So yeah, I suck at poker.
Yeah, you see, this is the thing. I can joke about calling you professional accountant, attorney, lawyer, all these things, but I will never, and I swear, ever claim that you are a professional accountant. That is absurd. Anyway, so getting back to things that you do know.
Actually, Road Dog, we've actually said this a long time ago, though. We were playing poker. So my dad, if you're listening, like my dad used to be a professional poker player. True story. In fact, to this day, my dad still plays poker daily. Anyway, so we were there and I was getting my butt handed to me. Like it was pretty embarrassing, right? Like we're playing with the boys and I think I bought in about 6 times before the break. And then remember we were sitting up, we were grabbing a beer and you told the guy that my dad was a professional poker player and he literally, his jaw dropped. He's like, this guy? What, are you kidding me? Anyway, that was pretty funny, man.
What did he say? Didn't he say something like, yeah, my dad's a professional model or something like that? It was something like that.
Anyways, let's keep going. But that was it. That was funny, man. That was funny.
All right, here we go. Next up, this is great. How do you quickly increase the profits of a business so they can go from not being able to afford you to being able to afford you? I love this question because this is probably so common across the board. Like, so how do you tackle that with predictability?
Yep, agreed. The blockchain question, that's such a long tail question. And this is good. How do you do? I built software that does exactly this for you. I got to tell you, there's 12 specific areas. Like if I were to sit down with the butcher, baker, candlestick maker, the chiropractor, the dentist, whatever, there's 12 specific areas that I would go. And then when you open up the software, the first place you go, jumpstart 12. And if you're wondering what are those areas, just think an upsell, a downsell, a cross sell. To be honest with you, walk into McDonald's and order something small and then watch the process. And those are, as they, do you want fries with that? Do you want me to supersize it? Do you want an apple pie with that? Et cetera, et cetera. So those are the 12 areas. Let me just tell you, the most successful brands in the world are generally luxury brands, right? Like think Ferrari, Rolex, Disney, Louis Vuitton, Nike, Starbucks, Gucci, Hermes, all the brands, as I say, super expensive stuff. You think of what brands? And those are basically luxury brands, right? And I don't think this is understood very well. Like Apple sells a commodity and they do it at Ferrari prices, but then at Toyota volume, right? Like the margins, the money, not the revenues, but the profits that Apple makes, very different business model than Amazon, as I described earlier. Like they don't ever turn a profit. But Apple, the amount of profits that they have, and the reason is, yes, they're very good selling the iPhone and they make some, they made some great products over the years, but it's the margins they manage to do it. And then the way that they get the margins is by being unbelievable marketers, right? So like the Apple, the mobile phone, it's almost like a religion. And if you just look at the level of people love Apple and then those that also hate it, by the way, right? Like again, it's also, it's got haters on steroids. So the bottom line, let's go to your business coach operating locally, again, butcher, baker, candlestick maker. 90% of the local market, they fight for the scraps at the bottom. They don't even consider being high end. Just use your realtor. The realtors run around and they all compete for the $300,000 to $400,000 condo or house, and very few of them are going to the $5 million. The million, depending upon the market you live in, but $1, $3, $5 million, right? Or maybe describe differently. So again, remember, I want to go in, this client can't afford me. How do I create a dynamic where they can afford me and they can do it quickly? Because again, you'll come into this all the time. Gosh, I'd really love to work with you, but I can't afford you right now. Actually, before I get into this, here is a hack on steroids. Okay. So let's assume that you want to be a $2,000 a month coach and this gal can't afford $2,000 a month that sits across from you on the other end of the phone. Okay. What I would do, and in fact, I answered a question a while ago, Road Dog, you asked me, I can't remember, but we ended up answering, what would Jeff Bezos do if he owned a coaching company? Okay. Which it was different, answered differently, but we got to the same place I'm about to go. Here's what Bezos would do. This is what I have done a zillion times. And this is what you should be thinking. Instead of charging $2,000 a month, instead of charging $2,000 a month, what you do is you lower your fees to $997. Like, the guy can't get his head around, $2,000, $2,500, $3,000 a month now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower my coaching fee to $997. Well, if you go $2,000 a month back to $1,000 a month, you just halved your annual fee from 24 to 12 grand. Okay. So here's a hack. What you do is you give them 4 months to get there. So you want to be $2,000 a month. Do month 1 at 500, month 2 at 1,000, month 3 at 1,500, and then it's 1997 ongoing from month 4 onward. Right. So you see how you got a $500 credit card or payment for a $24,000 client. That right there is hack on steroids. Commit that to memory. Get that to your subconscious mind, not your conscious mind. And by the way, if you got to go 200, 400, 600, 800, 1,000, 1,500, remember, don't do your best. Your best ain't good enough. I'm sorry. You do what it takes, right? So that is an example. So if you've got to work, we talk around here about, like we did this in the pre-show, Road Dog, being Santa Claus versus the Grinch. Once again, commit that to subconscious mind, not conscious mind. You've got to be giving. If you're there's so many, don't get into coaching because you want to make a ton of money. You get into coaching because you want to help a lot of people. You really want to shift some lives. You think Tony Robbins got started and he just wanted to make a bucket load of money? Gives. And look where he's at now. Look at his profile, all the rest. You may love Tony Robbins. You may hate him. I don't care. It doesn't matter. His results are on the results are in, and you should follow that roadmap. Well, it's give. So if you've got to coach somebody at a loss for the first 90 days, because the 90 days are going to go anyways, and at a loss, I'm thinking that if you figure 500 for the first 30 days is operating at a loss, and it kind of is, given the time that you'll put in, that's where you start. But you become Santa Claus, and again, you lower that if necessary. The bottom line is you do what it takes. So that is a hack there. But now I want to go in a different direction. So I want you to be thinking like luxury pricing, right? Like, again, what does Apple do? What does Ferrari do, et cetera? Like, let's say that let's go to an accountant. Okay. People love, if you sell to an accountant and you coach them well, they've got 200 clients. That one account can bring you more referrals. That can be the most profitable thing you do this year, right? Well, the average accountant, if you sit them down, they sell about a $2,500 unit of sale. I call a unit of sale. You go to the accountant, he does your taxes, he answers your dumb questions, you bring him the shoebox at the end of the year, and your bill, when you look at it, it's about $2,500, right? Well, if you help that accountant build a $25,000 program, and then what would go in a $25,000 program? Again, don't go to ideas, go to problems and then solve them. Okay, so spidey senses away from ideas and into problems. Well, the problem that happens is that the business owner, butcher, baker, candlestick maker, the chiropractor, the restaurant, the dentist, they don't have financial statements for $2,500. They get a tax return. And then what people do is they get a tax return. They call it a financial statement. And that's again, I could wear a watermelon on my head and call it a hat, but that doesn't mean it would be a hat, right? Like, calling your tax return financials is just ridiculous. The end. Okay. So what should the accountant be providing you? Proper financials. Think of a scoreboard. When you go to you're watching the Super Bowl. Imagine watching the Super Bowl with no scoreboard. It would be ridiculous, right? Like, that's how you follow the game. Well, that's the way business owners should be following their businesses, and very, very few do. So an accountant builds a $25,000 program where basically on a monthly basis, they're providing you proper financial statements, balance sheet, income statement, cash flow statement, right? So they're providing you proper financials. And then the client's going back and forth and analyzing this stuff, because you see, remember, tax is the number one expense in their life. And at the end of the year, they all want to pay no tax. But the problem is the numbers are already in. you need to make the adjustments throughout the year in order to get the massive tax breaks, right? And believe me, for, a company doing some decent revenues, when a good accountant works with you throughout the year, they will be able to save you tens of thousands of dollars and plus, in taxes. So in other words, the 25 grand can be paid in newfound profits as opposed to, just straight out of your bank account. So an example, if you have an accountant and they don't have a $25,000 program, you help them introduce it. You help them sell it. That 25 grand is going to be realized cash, right? Like that's 22,500 more than what they were otherwise spending. So that is an example. This is what a lot of our coaches that build teams of, like we have, we have coaches that have teams of 10, 25, 50, 80 business coaches underneath them. So they don't just go business coaches. They go to these types of companies, accountants and folks selling advertising, think, networking groups, and then they help them build this higher unit of sale. So again, think somebody selling advertising. Do they really need advertising, right? Like the business owner gets into trouble and then they go, you know what? I got to buy some advertising. And they have a cash flow problem and they go, damn, Facebook ads, that's the solution, right? And again, the metaphor that I give for that is that if you were in a boat and you had a hole in it, you think, damn, I got to go further out into this lake to fix the hole in the boat. Obviously, that's lunacy. That's not dissimilar to somebody having a cash flow problem, a business problem, and buying advertising to try to get their way out of it, right? So what does that look like? Think newspaper, think magazine, think coupon book, think online directory, think digital marketer, etc. Again, generally speaking, if you phone up and you buy an ad in the local newspaper, and plenty of them still exist, don't think that they're all gone. There are absolutely far less of them now, and they're selling less advertising because it's not as effective and sexy. But at the end of the day, believe me, there's plenty of newspapers operating very, very handily, right? Well, how much does an ad sell for? $500, $1,000, let's say $2,500 is towards the expensive ad that they would sell, right? It's like full page, big time. Well, if you went to that company and you helped them build a $25,000 program, what would their $25,000 program look like? Help them build a model where they're actually helping their clients, right? Upsell, downsell, cross-sell. Like I said, just the stuff that you walk into McDonald's and they do. Everybody thinks of McDonald's as this massively successful company. No, it's a company that's got the fundamentals done right, and they crush it, right? So a sample of a $25,000 program, frame it up, help them sell that. Are they going to sell it in the first 30 days? Not necessarily, but they could certainly sell a $10,000 program. Or maybe another example, go to the networking group. Think BNI, the franchisee of the BNI group, and there's tons of private versions of that, right? Well, they sell networking, right? And then how much is it? It's like $800 for a 12-month membership. That's how they earn their revenue, right? It's like, is that really what they need? Well, first thing, they should have a $5,000 platinum sponsorship deal. And believe me, some people just want to spend more. So if they build a $5,000, platinum networking partnership, believe me, they will be able to sell it. Are they going to sell it in the first 30 days? I don't know. But if they don't have I know this, a networking group without a $5,000 platinum sponsorship ain't selling one, right? They need one, but I don't need to meet them to know that they don't have one. They should also have that $25,000 program that I just described. Like, you're asking for networking. Is that really what you need? People sign up for networking and they're trying to buy business. They're trying to grow their business. They're looking to mastermind. They're looking for new ideas, right? Well, as a business coach, as a business consultant, that's what we provide. What they really need is a roadmap. So you go to the networking group and help them create a $25,000 program. I'm going down this rabbit hole because this is the equivalent. When you think about, Apple, again, and these luxury brands, they sell a high unit of sale, and that's why they can afford to basically market like, mad men and mad women, and they can, create this crushing brand, right? Like in fact, I sent an email, it might have been even today actually, but when I sent an email recently, might be coming tomorrow, spoil it for anybody listening live. But anyway, so if I owned a pizza place, like I would have $100 pizza, right? If I had a bar, I would have $100 drink, right? Ferrari sell You can go to Ferrari and buy a $2 million car. And by the way, you'd have to put down a non-refundable deposit. You'd have to wait 2 years to get the car, by the way. And there's magic behind all of that. But that, at the end of the day, they sell a $2 million car. Rolex has a $250,000 watch. I used to have a $500,000 coaching program. Here's the thing. At the $100 pizza, you'll sell 100 times as many $15 pizzas, but the $100 pizza will get, the remarks, get people talking. At the bar, the $100 drink will get people talking. The Ferrari $2 million car sets them apart. Okay. And then they sell, $100,000 cars. That's where they make their money. That's how they move their units with huge margins, by the way. But it's the $2 million car that gets them the preeminence, the Rolex. Everybody goes in, everybody looks at the $250,000 watch, the $1 million watch, and then they buy the $10,000 watch, right? So again, when I had a $5,000 coaching program, this is many years ago, I sold bucket loads and bucket loads of $10,000 coaching programs, but I had the $500,000 coaching program. And believe me, I very strategically, when I was on stage and whatnot, I would drop this, conveniently, that this is the level that I'm at, right? So the bottom line is that you'll sell significantly more at the low end. But by having that, you can get that, become remarkable and have people remark about you. So there's some magic in there. But the bottom line is, how would I go about, going in and somebody can't afford you and get them to afford you, raising prices? And on my software, you just go through and there's a section. It's just Q&A, bang, bang, bang. Takes you 3 minutes to get from top to bottom with the business owner. And then it spits out exactly how much, if they raise their prices, exactly how many clients they could lose to make the exact same amount of money. And at the same time, if they didn't lose a client and they raised their prices by 10%, how much more profit they would then be making. Because remember, here's another example, okay? When accounting 101, when say you got a business that made $1 million last year, okay, and $600,000 is their break even. Very important number. Very few business coaches take the time to sit down with a coaching client and work out their break even. Okay, so you break out their break even is $600,000. Let's assume their margins, and if this confuses you, just follow me on the example. I promise you, it's so elementary when you really get it. They have 50% gross profit margins, 50% gross profit margins and 20% net profit margins. What happens on your break-even company at 600, the first 600,000, they're making 20%. So they make $120,000 of profit on the first 600,000. A lot of expenses in there. Now, on the 400,000 that they earn after break-even, they make 50% margins on that. Okay, which means they make $200,000 of profit. So imagine they make $200,000 on the 400, and they only make 120 on the 600. What does that mean? It means that when you coach somebody, here's the elementary part of it, you have to help them manage their expenses, control their expenses, because that's the X factor. Like what business owners say after they've been in business for a period of time, they're like, I'm finally getting somewhere. I'm really starting, like the money is building up. I don't really know what happened, but there was a shift and now it's really starting to work. Well, that's not what happened. What happened is that they've been in business long enough that they've managed, to get to a point where they're well and truly operating above break even. Okay. And that, like, the money is sticking at a significantly higher level, but because they don't sit with their accountant, they don't spend $25,000 to sit with their accountant and get provided a proper scorecard. They don't understand what's happening, and therefore they don't understand stuff like, why is Apple? They just think that Apple is this really, Steve Jobs was a genius, and they just make these really kick butt phones. Well, no, it's so much more than that. It's that their business model, the way that they operate, and by having, a luxury brand with luxury margins and luxury pricing, they operate at that $400,000, 50% level significantly more than anybody else. So anyways, that's, Road Dog, raising prices is it, but just thinking about, the sexy kind of way of describing it is thinking, Rolex, Ferrari, Disney, etc. And why are these guys so successful? And because they play with luxury margins, and the local realtor fighting for a $300,000 condo most definitely does not. So there you go, buddy. That's my answer, man.
Okay, so a couple things. Like, first off, when you say that a watermelon is not a hat, I'm going to tell you that the people in the great province of Saskatchewan and all Packers fans disagree with you there. Okay?
This is good point. Good point. Okay, you
Your,
got me, Road Dog. Well done.
your wife is from Saskatchewan, I believe, isn't she not originally?
She is. She denies
So
it, which is kind of funny. But anyways, keep going.
I'm sure she's got a good selection of watermelon hats already. So secondly,
Like,
I just want to add on to your point of, when people are talking about, you talk about coaching for free for 30, 60, 90 days. See, the biggest problem is, like you said, there's no roadmap there, right? Like, it's no different than somebody's doing a lead funnel online. It's like, it's not about getting the immediate result that you want, right? It's creating that list. It's creating the value that's going to create the money to follow up with later. Like, it's just so funny that you say that. It's like, so many people, when it comes to the online stuff, are all like, well, I need a result now. Well, that's pretty darn aggressive, rather than just being more strategic and having a roadmap and going, let me build my lead base and then I can retarget them for free, by the way. It's no different than saying I'm going to coach a bunch of folks and basically let them try me out. And I'm also trying them out to see if they're actually going to take action and do what I say, right? And learn more about the types of clients that they also want to bring on. It's amazing how short-sighted people are inside of their business and inside of their planning for their clients. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Agreed on that one, buddy. Agreed.
Because again, ultimately, if your objection for online marketing, by the way, and this is my forte, if your objection is just to make sales, you're missing the entire point. The entire point is to build your list. Because guess what? The platforms will change, your list won't. And if you control the list, you control the money that you drive from that list without having to pay somebody for creating a new list or going to an audience every single time. So it's extremely short-sighted. Anyways, so there's something I stand against. I know that we've had this conversation recently as well in terms of standing against. I stand against short-term marketers. You mentioned the power of standing against as well. Do you just want to talk about that again just for a quick sec? And by quick sec, I know this is a dangerous rabbit hole for you. But what things do you stand against in the coaching industry?
Did we cover this recently on the podcast? Are you saying?
If you covered it, I think it was actually in one of your Facebook posts that I saw. And I know it always creates great controversy, so I'm just here to help you stir the pot, my friend. So fire away. Let's go.
Okay. Yes. Well, standing against. Okay. So, in fact, the Facebook post. Let me just explain. So I started it. I started the Facebook post recently with idiot influencers. And if you guys have followed the podcast for any period of time, you know that these guys, it frustrates me, right? The influencers are out there. They do everything loudly. And the reality is that people follow them to try build businesses. And if you show me an influencer, I'll show you a guy who didn't build a business and isn't building a business, right? Because the reality is building a business takes a lot of work, a lot of discipline. And you normally have to, the guys who are building businesses are the guys who you don't really hear from, right? They're the guys in the background. And of course, this is a sweeping generalization, but it's pretty damn close, right? So if somebody is a great marketer, generally speaking, their business acumen will be a little bit less than perfect. So standing again, well, the first one that I said, and I say this one all the time, multiple streams of income. Again, this is advice spewed out by a guy trying to sell you a bad book or an overpriced program. And of course, and now very importantly, I'm speaking to business owners, right? So here's the thing. Once you have a business that's operating, that's doing $5 million or above, at that stage, talk to me about your multiple streams of income. Until you've got that, you're crazy to start diversifying and going, left, right, and center. Remember, diversification is defense, and then focus is offense. Look at it that way, right? And by the way, don't listen to me. Let's go to Gates. Let's go to Bezos. Let's go to Jobs. Do you think these guys, were they running around investing in real estate? Do you think they were trying to They were talking about buying, real estate with no money down, yada, yada, yada. So multiple streams of income. So that advice right there will crush you. But again, do $5 million with one business and then talk to me about it by all means, right? Road Dog, you just mentioned Facebook ads. Facebook ads for everything. Again, a business owner gets into trouble and then they start running Facebook ads, or they're scramble. They don't really have a strategy for their company. And then they decide to start running Facebook ads, right? Like if you have a cash flow problem and you start running Facebook ads, you're in some big trouble. What's another, like standing against? Do what you love and make millions. In fact, you ever watched a billionaire speak? I'm going to tell you this, at the end of their talk, almost invariably, with ridiculous consistency, they spit out this advice. Like, guys, just do what you love, right? And it's like, that is so easy to say once you're a billionaire, right? Like and by the way, the other folks that say it don't know what the freaking hell they're talking about, right? Like, if you were to ask me, okay, what's the secret? So if doing what you love and making millions is a good way to sell books and a program, but a horrific way to actually make money in the real world, here's what you do. Don't do what you love. Fall in love with what you do. Fall in love with the marketing. Fall in love with your clients. Fall in love with the testimonials. Fall in love with, taking your clients from A to Z. Fall in love with the new system that you create in the middle, right? Like as in the middle of the relationship, not the sexy delusional stuff, right? And then do what you're good at. Now, this is the X factor, right? Like focus over intelligence times 1 million. That's why, you ever wondered why a lot of really successful people are not that overly intelligent, right? Like think of all the A students from your math class, like from high school, and they're out there making a reasonable living working for somebody else. You look at all the most successful entrepreneurs, and a lot of the successful entrepreneurs, and I'm not talking Zuckerberg who went to Harvard, right? He doesn't count. There's anomalies for that's not an anomaly. It's not that smart people can't build successful companies, but generally speaking, if you look at businesses that say like $1 million and with decent margins, and the guy, he can comfortably buy his BMW and the 7-figure house, generally speaking, you're looking at a C student, right? Why? Because I think they focus so much better, right? So again, focus over intelligence. Again, like I was good at hockey when I was a kid. So guess what? Like that's where all my time and effort and my focus went. But like, did I love hockey because I love hockey, or did I love hockey because I was good at it, right? I think there's a combination of all of them. But let me tell you, when you're thinking about business, you're thinking about where are you going to go and really, really do well, do what you're good at versus do what you love would be like 1 million times better advice. Things we stand against here. But 4-hour work week, again, we're rehashing some stuff we talked about. I don't think we talked about this recently. We talked about it in the past. But 4-hour work week, again, the problem, it's a great book and everybody should read it. The problem is the title. What people do is they buy the book, they read the title, maybe the first chapter, maybe the back of the book, and then they think that the book is about working for 4 hours, right? If you work for 4 hours, you are going to fail miserably. Like if your competition is doing 8 hours and you're doing 4 hours, you're immediately in trouble. And I would dare say that your competition's doing a lot more than 8, right? So the 4-hour work week, it's subconsciously, it just gives people a horrific roadmap to follow, or like a sales funnel, right? Like again, that's the funnel. Russell Brunson made it famous. There is no such thing as a sales funnel. It is a series of cliffs. They either give you their email address or they don't. They either set the 15-minute appointment or they don't. They either show up to that appointment or they don't. They either take the 1-hour appointment after the 15-minute appointment or they don't. They either give you their credit card or they don't. So thinking of it as a series of cliffs would be significantly more impactful. And again, I think sales funnel, it's kind of like, all I got to do is generate, I just need to get an email address and they're going to slide right in and start paying me. It's not the way that's not the way it works. And I'm going to your subconscious mind here. I want you to be thinking it's a little more, cutthroat than that as you're moving them along. So sales funnel, another one, high ticket sales. Again, I'm probably going to start railing against this in the future a little bit more. Repeat sales equals profit. That would be a way better book than high ticket sales. But, because show me a business. In fact, tell me your business idea, quote unquote, because everybody comes to me with a business idea. The first thing I do is say, explain to me how you're going to make money. What I'm really looking for is I'm looking for repeat sales. I'm looking for recurring revenue. And if you can't show that to me, I'm going to tell you this is a horrific business, right? So I've often said, we said this in the past a lot, like a neighbor of mine, they got a $3 million house, a $250,000 Lambo. I'll give you the red hot tip. The guy's not a realtor. Okay. He owns a cleaning business. But if I said to you, do you want to own a cleaning business or you want to own, become a realtor? Or in fact, I did that to a room of 100 people. Like nobody's going to say the cleaning business, but the reality is cleaning is a great business. Why? Because the recurring nature of it, but it's not as sexy and delusional, yeti as, real estate and making 400, 800, $1.2 million sales. Like that's sexy. And yeah, you get a big check, but the person's not buying another house for 5 years. And by the way, if you survey people who bought houses, within 18 months, they can't remember your name, as in the realtor, right? The biggest purchase of their lifetime, and they can't remember the realtor's name in 18 months, right? So if you don't have a follow-up process, you're missing out big time. But the bottom line is, and standing against, importantly, so why do I stand against? Why do I have a post on Facebook that got, whatever level of engagement? It's because standing against will get you more attention than singing Kumbaya. So the average coach, the mistake you're making is that it's too blue skies, puffy clouds. We're all going to make so much money. I can't wait to get started. Oh my gosh, this is going to be so amazing. Yeti. Like a real mentor can tell you what not to do, right? Thinking about that. A real mentor can tell you what not to do. So by standing against, like, let me throw it back to you as you're listening to this. Grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, or whip out your iPad or your phone or whatever your shtick is. And I want you to write 3 things that are called like multiple streams of income. We've all heard that 10 million times. Passive income would be another one. Not going to get started. It just show me people that you know with passive income. And it's going to be a very, 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 very small list, right? But it sells lots of books and lots of programs. So grab a pen and piece of paper and write down 3 things that you stand against that are reasonably common knowledge, okay, and that a business owner would think, right? I just gave you a bunch of them. Okay, when you speak to a business owner, you got 15 minutes to try grab their attention. Instead of going kumbaya and it's so amazing, we made this much money, we did this, stand against something, right? And they're like, I'm telling you, they'll remember you significantly, they'll remember you at a significantly higher level than if you're there, doing singing Kumbaya and high-fiving everybody and telling them how amazing the world's going to be once you can get your presentation out there, etc. It's standing against is powerful. So there you go. So, stop falling when you flow through your Facebook feed and the influencers that are there going, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and all these grandiose promises and, millions here and millions there. It's just stop falling for it. The 4-hour work week, the secret, the positive thinking is the solution, the sales funnel, all this, and by the way, what do I stand? Actually, ask me, what do I stand against? Go to the bookstore and look at 100 of the top books, the titles of them, and you'll have 80 of the things that I stand against. Because again, there's sexy, delusional titles like the 4-hour work week that kind of screw you up unless you read the book and then read it from a critical standpoint to say, what do you really believe and what's really right? It could do a little bit of damage. So there you go. But over to the coaches listening, I want you to write down 3 things you stand against and have an argument. Don't just stand against to be an idiot, right? That's not the goal here. Like I really believe multiple streams of income is not something that I believe in at all. Right? Like, and by the way, then you're like, but Karl, you've got multiple streams of income and I own millions of dollars of real estate. Yeah, but I'm 2 decades into this, right? Show me your business where you made $5 million of gross revenues with decent margins, right? Show me that, and then talk to me about multiple streams of income. You don't get to the point of success by doing multiple streams of income. Multiple streams of income happens later. But it's sexy. And frankly, there's a bunch of other stuff I could rail about. But don't stand against something just to be a jerk off. You're standing against something that you really believe. Wow, that is common. That is perceived to be common knowledge, but it's wrong, right? Like, think of this. A real mentor can tell you what not to do. Stop playing addition. Every dickhead, I don't know a business coach on the planet that can't sit with a business owner and give them like 10 ideas, as in go to their to-do list and expand it. So show me a business coach that can go to a to-do list and then make it significantly shorter. And that's the guy that I want to hire. Think about that. By the way, say something along those lines when you meet the guy at the networking group, and then watch what happens. You'll get significantly higher engagement, significantly more appointments. You'll be remembered. You'll get referred. Just watch. So there you go, Road Dog. That's so standing against. It's a very common thing to do, but folks aren't doing it.
You know, the funny thing is, Karl, the amount of things that, and you and I share a lot of the things that we stand against. I kind of think of it, a lot of it is just lazy marketing. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this is the easy thing to say now that's going to get someone's attention. But they're all starting to say the same thing, which is kind of lazy in my opinion. But it is pretty funny, though. It's like if they're all, oh, just follow your passions and your dreams. It's like, oh, my God. Like, it's the same thing over and over. Everybody's saying the exact same thing. So that part is kind of crazy. Hey, listen, next time, because we're not going to get to it today, but next time we're going to dive into, because I'd be curious, kind of some particular targets. And I know that, again, red hot tip, the secret is on the top of your list. But, others that you that you think are absolutely insane, but we'll tackle that next week. But can you close us out with giving our listeners the one thing that they can do from today's podcast? I know you just gave them writing down 3 things that they stand against. Is that it, or is there something else that you think is super helpful?
Okay, here's a challenge for everybody, right? So go find a business owner that legitimately, like, again, at the end of the day, if you want to have the best bar, the best restaurant, the best this, the best that, the best car, like Ferrari has, amongst the most expensive cars in the world, they're the best. Like, they're really good. So my challenge is that I like the question, got a business owner, they got no dough. I want to take them on and I want to create the dough so that I can then get paid. I would challenge everybody here, everybody listening, go take on a client this week, which might involve you picking up the phone and doing some cold calling. Oh, I'm so sorry. But unless you got a big network, if you already got a big network, do that, or go to the networking function, do whatever you got to do, but just pick up the damn phone and go speak to people, go help somebody, go take on a coaching client and create your fees. The magic, what you're going to do is you're going to build some muscle, the same way Road Dog goes to the gym, right? He builds his muscle. I go to the gym. I build my muscle. You go to the gym. You build your muscle. See it that, like, I want you to see that client in that way. And then, by the way, you guys, if you listen to my podcast, if your example, I wrote a case study when I first started my one thing. If you just Google my name, restaurant case study, you're going to see 2 days of what I would do if I were going to go help a restaurant. I wrote down 50 different things that I would do to help the restaurant, right? So that'll give you a good idea. Grab a pen, grab a piece of paper. So let's say you're going to go to the chiropractor, you're going to go to the dentist, you're going to go to the, XYZ. Before you go to them, write down 50 ways that you're going to help them. Now actually go, and by the way, some of the ideas on my case study for the restaurant will not work with specific restaurants. That's why there's a list of 50, right? So basically go to work and create your coaching fees with a client. The magic is that the muscle that you will build with that one client, if you can do it with one, that means you can do it with 20. And if you get 20 clients at $2,000 a month, that's a $480,000 a year coaching business. And the beauty of coaching is our ridiculous margins. We've got Apple type margins. That's part of why it's such an awesome business, right? So once you do that, I think that you're going to empower yourself at a level that's going to blow your mind. So that is what I want to leave everybody with. And then how would you do it? I just rewind and listen to this again. Remember Apple, Rolex, Ferrari, the brands that you think of are, generally speaking, luxury brands. When I say the top brands in the world, Disney, etc. You ever go to Disney? Like, they literally when you go to Disney, they make T-shirts to say, I can't remember, but it's like the most expensive day of my life. That's what the dads all wear, right? The kids are all wearing Mickey Mouse, and the daughters are all wearing Mickey Mouse ears. And then the dads are wearing, the most expensive dares. I can't remember the wording, but that literally they make t-shirts about it, right? Disney is a bloody expensive place, right? So with your coaching client, go create a higher unit of sale. Like, go create it with them and watch what happens. It's going to take a little bit of time. Will they sell it in 30 days? In some cases they will. In some cases it's going to take a little more effort to get it boxed up, but get them out there selling a unit of sale significantly higher. So when I used to sit with a client back in the day, one of the first questions out of my mind, what do I buy from you for 10 grand? Think of the networking group. Think of the local newspaper selling advertising, the coupon book, etc. Often they didn't have an answer. One of the first things I would do is I'm like, if you don't have a $10,000 unit of sale, you can't sell one. Let's create one. So we created, again, the networking group. Create what's your platinum? What is your $10,000 platinum partnership deal look like? Oh, I don't have one. I said, okay, that's the first thing we're going to do. And some people want to spend more. Some people have lots of money and they just want attention. And believe me, that bad boy will sell. So anyway, that's an example of where I would go. But when you sit with a business owner, everybody buying on price and being the low end provider and, basically in the sandbox with the 80 to 90% of the market instead of the 10% of the market that Ferrari, Rolex, Hermes, etc. play in, maybe take your clients there. So, but that's a challenge for everyone, Road Dog. Go take on a client, create your fees. That's what I want you to do.
Love it. Love it. Well, everybody, thanks again for tuning into another great episode of Business Coaching Secrets with the man on top of the hill, my boy King Karl. And if you're not on the inside getting access to the pre-show, or you aren't getting Karl's daily emails that we keep talking about, or just want more information on how to build your coaching company, visit focused.com and subscribe today. And if you enjoyed the podcast, please share with a fellow coach or someone that you think might make a great coach. And of course, we'd appreciate if you'd rate this episode. As we know that iTunes and Spotify give an insane amount of weight towards reviews. So please leave a review if you like what you heard. And I can't believe it. Once again, that's it for another week. The time just flies when you're having fun, my friend. And remember, everybody, progress equals happiness. Take care.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.